And welcome back. Today is Thursday, so we have our Medical Minute. And offering valuable care for all kinds of injuries, OSF Orthopedics is the only place in Peoria offering minimally invasive treatment of hip injuries. Today we're joined by Dr. Keith Corpus, the orthopedic sports medicine surgeon for OSF Healthcare, to tell us all about it. Good morning, Dr. Corpus. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Of course. So let's talk about minimally invasive treatment of hip injuries.
Yeah.
What type of hip injuries are you seeing the most this time of year?
Yeah, so the most common thing that we see with regards to the hip is tears of a structure called the labrum, which is basically a piece of cartilage in your hip. You can think of your hip as a really tight ball and socket joint. And one of the most common conditions that athletes especially will get is a condition called hip impingement, which is basically when the ball and socket are not perfectly round. You can think of it kind of like a square peg in a round hole. And when you have that condition, it can grind against a little piece of cartilage that wraps around your socket called the labrum. And that can result in tears in that structure, which can lead to patients having pain in their hip, dysfunction, and inability to do the things that they like to do.
That sounds really painful.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And what is the process for minimally invasive treatment?
Yeah, so what we can do, and the service that we offer through Great Plains and OSF Orthopedics, is we can do a minimally invasive surgery, which is called a hip arthroscopy, where we use a camera and small little instruments and go into the hip through 3 little pocal incisions that are about 1 centimeter in length. And we can go into the hip and we can put stitches around that labrum structure and sew it back to the bone to try to get it to heal. And then at the same time, one of the most important parts of the surgery is trying to reshape the bone so that that square peg and round hole phenomenon goes away. And if you have that structure, that square peg and round hole over time, it can lead to things like hip arthritis and early onset of arthritis. So it actually serves as a way to preserve the hip as well and try to prevent even further issues down the line.
Well, that's good. And roughly how long does that procedure take?
Yeah, so it takes me about an hour and a half or so to do. It's an outpatient operation. Again, it's done through 3 little pocal incisions. The rehab and recovery can be a little bit lengthy, on the order of 4 to 6 months to get back to full recovery and full athletics. But it's certainly something that is certainly something we can send you home on the same day and get you out of the hospital very quickly.
Oh, well, that's great.
Yep.
That is wonderful. And in what ways does OSF Orthopedics work with athletes to get them back in action?
Yeah, so we cover a lot of local sports teams. I'm the head doctor of Bradley Athletics. We cover a lot of high-level athletes, but we also cover a lot of weekend warriors, if you will, so people that are not necessarily doing organized sports, but more pickup type sports. And we cover them with all of various types of injuries, but we obviously try to focus on non-operative treatment first. Hopefully we can avoid sending them to surgery and having these big, long rehabs and recoveries, but certainly things like physical therapy and the non-operative treatment, we're available for all of that as well.
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
And in what ways, what tips do you have for people to avoid getting hurt?
Yeah, so especially as we get more into the summer months and the warmer climate here, people are getting more active. If you were inactive throughout most of the winter, obviously ramping slowly up into those activities is important. Not coming out of the gates 100 miles an hour is always an important thing. Obviously stretching, the appropriate kind of warm up is certainly good about preventing injuries. And if you're having early warning signs of having some pain, certainly let us know. We can always discuss further in the office.
That is great. That is wonderful. And what is the contact information for OSF Orthopedics?
Yeah, so you can always reach out to us or me through my website, peoriasportsdoc.com, osfhealthcare.org. Our phone number is listed on the screen, 309-676-5546. You can reach out to us for appointments with myself or any of my partners at any time, so we're always available.
That is wonderful. Thank you so much for coming in this morning and telling us all about it.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And if you or someone you know would like to join our Community Corner, you can head to our website, 25newsnow.com. Go ahead and click on the Community Corner tab and fill out the form there. We'll take a look at it, and we would love to have you on our Community Corner. And for now, stick with us. We'll be right back at 11:30. All your entertainment news is coming right up.